in terms of the hijab, sorry, I forgot that part of the question. And this is my way of, yes, it's a very good point, yeah, of the hijab, and I think I've got a way of dealing with it now. I've been thinking about it. I've actually been thinking about it quite deeply. And there are some people in the ummah now that they believe, this is their perspective, yeah? There are dhanni verses and qat'i verses. There are verses of qata', which means that they are explicit, and there are dhanni verses. And they say, look, if the verse is dhanni, it means that you can have different ijtihadat, you can have different understandings, etc. Let us interpret it in whatever ways. There should be a plurality of ideas. And if you extend that idea to its logical extreme, yeah, and you say there should be a plurality of ideas, and you have no right to tell me what the predecessors said, you have no right to tell me كيف انعقد الإجماع من قبل, how the ijma' was came into being before, and all those things. You have no right to tell me those things. I say, no problem. If that is your madhab, if that is your belief, I say, so what do you say of the ijtihad of ISIS? They're forced to actually accept that, you know that. They can only say, la darar wa la darar, it's hurting the people, but ISIS extremist group that killed the people and they're bad. But according to your hermeneutical understanding of the Quranic discourse, their interpretation of the ayat of qatl and killing and of hum minhum and killing the children and all of those things, according to their interpretation, according to your methodology, you have to admit from a hermeneutical perspective, from an exegetical perspective, is absolutely acceptable. There's no way out of this now. If you allow for a plurality of ideas in such a way, you have to allow for the ijtihad. You can't let inkar now. You can't say that they're wrong. You can only say they're wrong for moral reasons. But it will be a circular argument because the morals they're saying are from the Quran and Sunnah anyways. So if they want to do that, so if you want to expand the parameters so that non-specialists, that people of that we can make new rulings now which were never made before, and this is a key thing, not only in just Islamic law but in all of legalistic traditions. There's something called precedent. Yeah, they use case law in many countries. They say, let's see the judgments of those who came before us. They don't make new judgments unless it's a new case. If it's the same case, they look at the judgments that came before. But if we're talking about the same rulings that happened for 1,400 years, and now you, X-person, thinks that you know how to reinterpret the ayat of Surah An-Nur and the ayat of Surah Al-Ahzab and so on, then no problem. You also, if you want to expand the parameters to that extent, then allow for the interpretation of all of those extremist radicals that blow people up, etc., because that's also ijtihad. Another thing of doing it is an interesting thing. There's a verse, I think it's chapter 24, verse 59. Yes, Surah An-Nur, where it says, Al-Qawa'id min al-Nisa. The old women of the Nisa, of the old women of the old women, yeah? And it says that they can ولا جناح عليهم أن يضعن ثيابهن. They can take their thiyab off. What's thiyab? It's a clothing, yeah? Now, the first question I ask the person who believes that, because usually the person who believes that the hijab is not, the khimar is not the hijab. That's their argument, yeah? Their argument that the khimar mentioned in Surah An-Nur and the jilbab, Surah Al-Ahzab, those two, they believe that they are not hijab, over the head. They believe it's over the breasts. They believe it's what? Over the breasts. So when it says, فَلْيَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُوبِهِنَّ, so let them throw the khimars over their jube. They say it just means cover your breasts. So I say, okay, no problem. In chapter 24, verse 59, when it talks about those old women, is it saying that they can show their breasts? No. That's what the implication is. If the thiyab that they can take off is the khimar, and the khimar or the jilbab is what you cover your breasts, then according to you, you can take off. Yes, you can show the older woman now. She can show her breasts in public. Is this your interpretation? They usually run around saying no, this and that. And listen, this is the implication of what you're saying, and that's why you have to have a holistic, contextualized understanding of the Quran and Sunnah before you make humiliating mistakes. So that's why I'd probably play it around like that, yeah, inshallah.